The same way we can store data in variables, we can store code and functionality inside functions. And the same way we declare a variable and assign it a value, we can declare functions and assign it some functionality. So we have let name equal Julio. So we are declaring this variable and we are going to declare a function. For this, we're going to use the word function. The name of the function in this case is going to say hello, open and close parentheses, open and close brackets, and here is going to be console.log hello. But as you can see, this is not working because we don't have the word hello here. Well, that's because here we are declaring the function, but we are not using it. For that, we are going to type the name, open and close parentheses, and now it's working. And as I told you, this can be used multiple times. If I copy and paste it, we have multiple hellos. This is very useful when you have some logic that you want to share or use it many times. For example, I'm going to create a multiply function, and we're going to pass a number 1 and number 2. Okay, these are parameters that you can use in your code. Okay, so we're going to declare const result is equal to number 1 multiplied by number 2. Okay, these names can be whatever you want, but you have to use them inside the function the way they are spelled here, and this will only work inside the function. These are not variables we are defining and we can use here num1. In fact, if I say this won't work. Okay, this is not this one right here. Okay, they are different. They are only used inside the function. And now I can console log the result. Okay, if I use multiply like this, I have none, which is not a number or not defined because it's not defining. We don't have result. It's not a number because we're not having number 1 and number 2. Let me console log number 1 and number 2. Okay, number 2. And as you can see, we have undefined and undefined because number 1 and number 2 is not defined. I have to pass them here. I'm going to pass 1 and 3. Okay, 1 multiplied by 3 is 3. And we have number 1 here and number 2 here. In fact, I'm going to say num1 equal to num1, and I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to add a comma, and num2 equal to number 2. So you know what is happening. Okay, so we have num1 equal to 1, num2 equal to 3, and I'm going to say num1 multiplied by num2 equal to result. Okay, 3. In this case, we can, as I told you, reuse it as many times as we want. So we can pass 5 multiplied by 3, 2 multiplied by 4, and whatever number multiplied by whatever number. Okay, and as you can see, we have 1 multiplied by 3, 3, 5 multiplied by 3, 15, 2 multiplied by 4, 8, etc. And it's code we can reuse. We can even add a prompt, as we learned before, and say, okay, I want to use let number 1 equal to prompt number 1. Okay, and then I'm going to copy it here, number 2 equal to number 2, and then I'm going to add here multiply number 1 and number 2. Okay, as you can see, this and this are different. I'm making this on purpose because this only works when you declare the function. You are declaring that the value, whatever value is passed here, it can be a number, it can be a variable, it can be whatever it is, it's going to be used this way. Okay, so let me delete all of this. In fact, I'm going to only use it once, and I'm going to console.log this as I did before. Now let me refresh and multiply 5 per 5. What is going to happen? We have 25 as expected. Great. But what happens if instead of multiplying it, I now add them? Okay, because as you know, this is being treated as strings, but when you multiply strings and JavaScript detects that they could be numbers, it multiplies them. Okay, and it transforms it into a number, because you can see here we have numbers. Okay, we have numbers, and here we have strings because they are different colors. So if instead of multiplying it, I create a new function called add, and instead of multiplying, I add here, and now I'm going to copy here and say add, what do you think it will happen? Well, as it's being treated as strings, we have 2525 instead of 50, but as the great thing about functions is that you can reuse them. Imagine we have a lot of places in our code where we add numbers. We are adding different numbers, okay? And we want to check that they are real numbers and not strings. It will be a nightmare to change it every time. But as we are reusing code, that's the great thing about creating functions, that you can reuse it anywhere and then you only have to change it in one place. Now you can say, okay, I'm going to let I'm going to say, okay, let new num1 is equal to number, and say num1. Okay, so I'm making sure number 1 is equal to a real number. And now instead of adding these numbers, I'm going to add these numbers. So now instead of being strings, they will be numbers, of course. And now 25 plus 25, it's going to be 50 because they are being treated as numbers. But in fact, here they are treated as strings because I'm using num1 instead of new num1. Now they will look like numbers. Let me show you. Let me refresh. 25 plus 25. Now they are numbers and everything is working as expected. So that's a function. It's code that you can reuse multiple times only by calling it. You declare the function with the word function, you added a name, in this case add, you can add some parameters, which is optional, only if you need them, and inside these curly braces, it's all the functionality that you're going to create. I know it's a little bit confusing at first, but we're going to apply this to a real project. So remember, when you apply it in a real project, and the more you use JavaScript, the more you will learn. It's the best way to learn programming. Don't you think that is something only for geniuses or for really logical people that understand these things? The only difference between you and any professional developer is practice. That's it. They are not more intelligent or more clever. No, they only have practiced more. So the more you practice, the better you will become.